This is the exact same training that Idaho Army National Guard soldiers use. Now the fun part is being able to just grab these bluegills out of water, but after everyone's hands are dry. Field sobriety tests could range from the walk and turn test to reciting the alphabet. This exercise combines capabilities from 5 different agencies. One of those, this robot. The rest of the unit is preparing to transition to these, the UH-60 Blackhawk. At the Broken Heart softball tournament, it's about more than just making a catch. The work and backup that's going up behind me is all because find your VIN number, take it down to your authorized dealer. Overall, parents are mortified. They didn't think something like this could happen in Burley, and now that it has, they're having to change the conversations they have with their children. Somebody's curious here. I really got to know, how many different ways can you make shrimp? That mantra is being followed by people and goats. And the students just shook and shook them as hard as they could until it was all done. And just so you know, this really does work. I got my exercise in shaking up this to make my butter, and I have to say, it's quite delicious. Last night was the second meeting for the Citizens Police Academy, and this time they were out of the lecture hall and in the field. There were some tense moments yesterday afternoon in Jerome. Jerome parents are concerned for their kids after a Facebook video surfaced Thursday. You may have noticed that finding a home can be tough, and it can be even harder on a limited income. Around 6:30 this morning, a farmer caught Richard and Jessica Spieth stealing gated pipe, something Sheriff Tom Carter calls a crime of opportunity.
All farmers need to pay attention. It's the season. When they start bringing anything out of the winter storage.
Deputies arrested that couple, but that doesn't mean the threat is over.
From year to year, we have the same issues. They'll come during the winter, they'll go out on pivots, steal mostly anything they can get their hands on, electrical cord, and they melt it down for the copper.
While it may seem like a huge task to get one of these inside of a vehicle, this crime happens a lot more often than you might think.
If they steal for pipe, they will cut off the ends of the pipe for the galvanized ends. If they're going for the copper theft as far as wire, they'll go into areas and they'll cut it out.
They got a generator set up so they can cut it. They bend it into 8-foot lengths so they can get it loaded on a trailer.
And they do all this work just to sell the remains. The Twin Falls and Jerome County Sheriff's offices say keep an eye on your neighborhood. You know better than anyone who doesn't live there. Quinn and Braden Thorne loaded up that box for a very special veteran.
We're trying to help her out since she has PSD and she's very scared.
That she is Sergeant Lely. She's not a big fan of the camera. Sergeant Lely is a retired Marine bomb dog whose owner was killed in Afghanistan. Now she has a new home, but she also has PTSD.
She's very scared of ceiling fans. She thinks they're helicopter blades. And she always hides under the desk. And when we try to give her treats, you can't hold it. You have to have it in front of you.
Quinn and Braden met Sergeant Lely while fundraising at Terry's Heating and Air Conditioning, and they sang her the Marine hymn. That's when something special happened.
She wasn't really as scared because she knew the song.
Since she's nervous around strangers, the boys decided to ask people in the community to thank her for her service by getting her toys, treats, and cards.
To me, it's a very emotional, touching thing, and I love to be behind and support anything like that.
Based on everything the brothers delivered, many people felt that same way.
If a simple thank you card or a box of doggy treats can help out, we'll give as many as we can.
With those doggy treats and a few rubs, Sergeant Lely has her forever home, lots of love, and a few new friends.
I heard that there was a free clinic open to the public, and I am in desperate need of dental work.
The bells are ringing at the Bugoneji Shiggs School, but for now, medical patients are replacing the students.
Just to be able to give back to somebody, whether they're in need or whether they're not in need, it just makes me feel like I'm a part of the community.
Soldiers from the Army Reserve Medical Command's 72 18th Medical Support Unit are offering healthcare services on Leech Lake Reservation in Minnesota at no cost.
In this town, it's hard to obtain medical care, especially any type of dental or specialty providers, and insurance can be so expensive now that anybody that's from a low-income family needs another source of medical care.
The program provides mission-essential, real-world training for soldiers, all while giving patients easier access to providers.
Every town should have something like this more than just once a year because it would be such a benefit for everyone.
And Sergeant Harrington says sometimes that benefit is intangible.
It's not just about giving a shot, it's not just about providing a service, it's more so about being able to connect with that individual.
Well, Joe, overall parents are mortified. They didn't think something like this could happen in Burley, and now that it has, they're having to change the conversations they have with their children. Melanie Nepker says her daughter always rides the bus to school, but this time was different. She was approached by a man outside White Pine Elementary offering her money and candy to come with him.
He jumped up and grabbed her by the arm and started pulling her towards, I guess, his partner. And she was yelling, "No, stop, you're hurting me." And the guy wouldn't let go, so she turned and she hit his arm, and it was hard enough that he let go.
Melvin Simpson and Vandy and Dougal were arrested Monday afternoon, both charged with attempted kidnapping. Sheriff Jay Hayward says the two men tried to lure 3 female students from school property. He also says they live a few blocks from the school. That's where deputies arrested them.
He saw Dougal standing in the front yard of his residence, and he was still wearing the same clothing that was described by one of the kids. He ultimately finds Simpson inside, and he's also still wearing the same clothes.
White Pines Principal Matt Seeley says safety is a priority, and they'll have increased police presence and more teachers on duty when the children are outside. Now, if any other students were approached, Sheriff Hayward encourages them to come forward. As part of a mosquito control operation, the Twin Falls County Pest Abatement District caught over 500 bluegill to place around the county for a good reason.
So they'll eat all the mosquitoes because their population is growing way too fast.
Since mosquitoes spend over half their life cycle in standing water, bluegill are used as a tool to eat their larvae.
It's beneficial for the community because we're helping kill mosquitoes without pesticides.
And if you feel the same way as birthday boy Kendall,
because mosquitoes stink, and that's just the truth,
then this is worth it. Now the fun part is being able to just grab these bluegills out of water, but after everyone's hands are dry, it's time to get to work.
They're going to get moved through to waterways throughout the county, and they'll feed on mosquito larvae, and so they're a big help to us.
Pest abatement is always working on affected areas, but they need your help by making sure you dump standing water in your yard.
We had some rain recently, so that probably filled up some containers, and if that water sits for longer than a week, you're most likely going to be hatching out mosquitoes.